I know nothing about affirmative action. I know what it is. I don't really have an opinion on it. I'm not a very political person. That's about it.
I believe it was in place to give minorities an equal share of the American dream.
Affirmative action is defined as an active effort to improve the employment or educational opportunities of members of minority groups and women. It is also defined as a similar effort to promote the rights or progress of other disadvantaged persons.
All times, affirmative action is good to get people in America, since America is supposed to be the land of the free, the home of the brave, equal opportunity, is supposed to be rendered to everyone. And everyone should have their fair share. Affirmative action should go but so far. And then that person or persons should be able to pick up their cross and bear it and run with it,
In 1961, President Kennedy issued Executive Order 10-925, which required that government contractors take affirmative action to ensure that applicants are employed and employees are treated during employment without regard to their race, creed, color, or national origin. The purpose was to affirm the government's commitment to equal opportunity for all qualified persons.
Actually, I'm old enough to have been around. I grew up in the South, so I know what it's like to be discriminated against just because of race, color, creed, whatever. So I think that the policy is still a good policy. I don't think it's in effect now the way it used to be, and it's not used as often, but I don't think it should be done away with.
Federal regulations prohibit racial or ethnic discrimination in all federally assisted programs, including public or private educational institutions. The Office of Civil Rights of the Department of Education began requiring schools and colleges to take affirmative action to overcome the effects of past discrimination in the wake of the civil rights movement of the 1960s. Federal regulations also allow colleges and universities to take racial or national origin into account when awarding financial aid. Policies such as these have sparked an intense debate about the fairness of affirmative action and about issues such as reverse discrimination on the one hand and minority representation and equal opportunity on the other.
I'm an African-American female, a product of the South. I graduated from high school in 1966. Yes, I went to college probably because of affirmative action. I think that I still had to use my brains to get through school, but I don't think that the school I went to would have just come out and sought me out.
When I was in college, I think I had more diversity around me, which was like a good thing.
Well, I'm kind of undecided about affirmative action because, I myself, I guess I am affected by it, but in a positive way, because I'm Mexican, so that, I don't know, that kind of counts. But I also have friends who are Irish and are really mad about the whole college process because they think that they have a right to, also have the same opportunities, but they don't because of their background.
I don't think affirmative action is a good idea. I think it undermines other people's abilities if they get in because of affirmative action. It's not because they got in of pure ability.
Well, in general, I'm a firm believer in meritocracy, and by that I mean I think the most talented people can rise to the top. I think affirmative action can be a bit of a hamper to that.
It can be a good thing if we can get someone who is qualified but doesn't have the money, or less qualified or whatever, into a good education. On the other side, it always seems to exclude someone else, because if someone less qualified is getting in and someone who is overly qualified is not getting in, it's not fair to the other person. As a matter of fact, it's not fair to the both of them, because if you're less qualified and you get in, you are gonna struggle. However, if you're overly qualified and you don't get in, you're upset because someone who was less qualified got in and struggled, and you probably would have had to face that struggle. So I guess I'm torn. I don't really know where I stand on the issue.
I do support affirmative action to an extent. I think that it's a great way to provide opportunity to those who may not have it otherwise. Let's say Penn was, 95% white and 5% black, because the majority of white students that go to better high schools and have better guidance counselors and the materials for SAT classes, they have the means, the financial means for tutors, and maybe a black student who has the same mental capacity, the same, not like they're just as smart as this white student, but they're from the inner city, their parents don't have the means to afford SAT classes, and therefore they cannot get into an institution that will provide them opportunity to really better their social economic status.
Being successful in college takes more than intellect. People are subjected to any number of things that deny them equal status in college. Economics, low motivation by parents who didn't have things like that. So I think if you can help those people out, I mean, give them money and things like that, but encourage them to do better and show them that there are possibilities in their lives beyond what they currently see.
Affirmative action policies and minority participation goals have also been integral to enforcement of minority hiring and federal employment standards. Affirmative action policies have been adopted by many sectors, including labor unions, public housing, education, and business.
Country where the majority of lower class is black, Hispanic, people of, lesser means. So I think that affirmative action really, I mean, yes, it is a racial thing, but if you think about it more of a socioeconomic thing, it can be justified, and I think that's how I look at it.
It's a book that's well published, and it states in that book that my people suffer from the lack of knowledge. I believe if people are more informed and each one teach one that this is the way. This is the way to walk. And try to guide each other, that would be all the affirmative action that we need. We don't need a government mandate to allocate that, In the African American community, a lot of times we don't exert ourselves to opportunities that have been fought for. We don't investigate. We sort of kind of give up, which is sad. Equal opportunities only if the people exert themselves towards those equal opportunities. Education is power, knowledge is power. Knowledge and education, powerful avenues, but if they're not used for positive in positive ways, it's in vain.
You really have to look at, there's still all the different biases and stuff going on, despite affirmative action. Affirmative action to me means that because I fall into a minority, I'm a minority, being that I'm of a different race, or from my background, coming from a poor background perhaps, not having the advantages that somebody who comes from a different tax bracket. That definition just speaks about discrimination. You know what I mean? And there's a bunch of laws out there that anti-discrimination laws that protect people that are in the minority. But I don't want to be labeled a minority in order to, to be able to maneuver forward sociably in the world. In life.
In search of brighter days, I ride through the maze of the madness. Struggle is my address where pain and crack lives. Gunshots coming from sounds of blackness. Given this game with no time to practice. Born on the blacklist. Told I'm below average. A life with no cabbage. That's no money if you from where I'm from. Funny, I just want some of yours.